Alfred, I need help.
What is wrong, Master Bruce?
I threw my back out in the Raptor again.
Need I remind you that you designed it, sir?
You didn't have to remind me.
Well, I'm going to anyway, sir.
F*** you, Alfred.
Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh Weekly. As always, I'm Robo, and it looks like things are getting back on track. A bit more variety this week. It seems toy companies are popping their heads up now that San Diego Comic-Con has passed and going, hey, can we show you some toys? Well, except for McFarlane, he's pow, straight out of the hole, up into the sky, tossing action figures and toys all over the place. Action figure, action figure, action figure, action figure, action figure, action figure, toy, 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 toy. I don't know how many pre-orders opened up this week, but there's a lot. But this may be short-lived because New York Toy Fair is in about a month. And then New York Comic-Con is directly after that. So we may see another slowdown here in the next couple of weeks. Maybe. I guess we'll see how it goes before I whine too much. Because I have to remember, it's kind of a mix at the moment. We're still getting a steady stream of reveals, but then the big shows have big things. To start things off, let's take a look at the Mezco 1/12 Collective Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark Major Tote and the Ark of the Covenant Deluxe box set. I did that in the first try, and I'm hoping I didn't mess anything up because I kind of lost track. I started thinking about something else in the middle of that sentence, and there was a lot of words just stuck together, but I ain't redoing it. Not gonna. I could have swore that I commented at some point that I was a bit worried that Mezco would start an Indiana Jones line and then not go much deeper. But I guess I should have known better. It's dudes in suits, and that is Mezco's wheelhouse. Yeah, they do superheroes and such, skin-tight costumes, but people in everyday clothes, they seem to excel a little more at. And that fits the Indiana Jones franchise to a T. And saying all that, tote looks good. Of course, the likeness is Mezco. They never 100% nail the resemblance to the actor himself. That's just their style. That's just how they do live action. Still, they captured that weaselly sinisterness, and that's half the battle. The other half of the battle is giving optional parts for all his looks in the movie. Like burning hand on stove. Then there's honey, call 911. I tried to fix the garbage disposal. Remember that part? Oh, like it was yesterday. Or the one where he was made of melting ice cream in a microwave. All the way to novelty Halloween candle. Good times. What? I have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. Why? But as good as Tote looks, there's also a light-up Ark with a ghosty ghost. And that right there, that makes the $112 price tag seem worth it. Everything here is usable and functional and displayable. There's no wasted plastic or features. This makes me wish I was as excited about an Indiana Jones line as I was when all this was first announced. It's kind of fallen to the wayside. Kind of because, you know, it's a bunch of dudes in suits, and I understand, I get it, that's the movie, but there's also priorities. And there is nothing wrong with priorities, especially with today's prices. But if this is your jam, there you go, baby. My priority is more skewed towards the fantastical, like Big Bad Workshop's and Fresh Monkey Fiction's Monster Force. This week they put Lieutenant Griffin up for pre-order, and now, we've talked about all this before. It takes inspiration from classic monsters and updates the whole shebang, making it more of a modern creature war. And you can definitely tell who the Eraser was based on, right? Invisible? He's got invisible parts? Man? He's based on the Invisible Man. Come on, keep up. Well, okay, in this case, Griffin is a descendant of the original Invisible Man, so Fresh Monkey isn't just pulling ideas from the original lore, they're building up on top of it. We've seen this prototype several times, and I always wondered, well, why is the wrapped head invisible? Why is it made of clear plastic? Seeing the final deco, I realize the wraps are painted, but then the eyes stay invisible. You got the goggles off, you're peering inside the head. A bit obvious now, but you know me, I always take the long way around to figure things out. But that translucent head, along with invisible hands, just adds even more possibilities. End of the day, it's just a cool concept that gets cooler as it goes on. And then there is McFarlane Toys. Why so many pre-orders this week. And remember, I record early Friday, so there's probably going to be some things I missed because there's stuff popping up as I'm shooting. But it's cool, it's Todd, expect curveballs, expect surprises, and really when it comes down to it, it's a little something for everyone. Now these are kind of out of order, but this is how I've decided to do it because that's what I want to do. Plus we saw the reveal of the Dark Knights of Steel Batman last week, so not a lot of surprise here, just a better look at the overall figure. But even that is essentially what we expected. It's Batman in a knight-type suit of armor. I'm guessing the gold sword has some kind of backstory because it doesn't really fit in with the overall design. Maybe I'll sit down and read Dark Knights of Steel sometime, just like I've read all of the other DC events over the past few years. Then they revealed Batman in-game Jim Gordon as Batman. My only exposure to this design is the old Mattel figure that I bought for the unmasked Jim Gordon head because I thought it looked more like an unmasked Bane head that I needed for a custom. So with all that knowledge under my belt, yep, that looks like that. But as a concept, it just feels incomplete. It makes you realize just how an important role the cape plays in your mental image of Batman. Or at least mine. I look at this and think, are you wearing pajamas and with a bat cowl? Because where's the rest? And I know that's not the Batman, so the body shape is probably appropriate for Jim Gordon, but you put Batman stuff on a body and I automatically think Batman, especially when I don't know the story it came from. So again, it looks like the Mattel one, from what I remember. I haven't actually seen that figure in a few years. Those two are mainline releases. Kicking off the exclusives that happened before the stuff that was revealed today, there is the Gold Label Rebirth Atomic Skull vs. Superman at Amazon. Why did I already think there was an Atomic Skull in this line? I first looked at this and thought, oh, that looks nifty in the translucent purple flamey effect. And then I went searching for what I thought was the first Atomic Skull, and there was nothing. At least in the whole 30 seconds I tried looking. Am I remembering another figure with a similar design? Or am I remembering an alternate dimension where Todd has been making multiverse figures for 20 years and he's went through the DC roster several times over? Probably the latter. Superman, though, I know we've seen this one before because the first release, the first Superman in the line, oh so many years ago, is still the Superman I use in my small multiverse display. It's not perfect, but it is still better than some of the later Supermans, on top of the brighter colors kicking things up a notch. Amazon also has the Gold Label Rebirth Clayface vs. Batman and Batwoman. Again, the main hero is complete reuse with the color scheme brightened, especially the bodysuit. That is just turned all the way up. Clayface is the same as the first release too, but put under an orange filter. Lighter on the overall body, really apparent in the eyeballs. Still one of my favorite sculpts in the series. If I had a full-on DC display where I was putting all the characters, this would be my Clayface. But most of the focus is on Batwoman, right? A new character for the line, shoved into a box set with some repacks. I need her, but I don't need another Batman. And, well, okay. The Clayface is kind of cool with the orangey color, but I don't need it. I don't need it. I just need Batwoman. I don't know, it's Gold Label. Can we hope for a re-release of her down the line? And if she is she going to be in a different color scheme or some kind of different costume or something? Because that's the one I want. Shifting over to McFarlane's own online toy store, they have an exclusive Gold Label Dark Knight Interrogation Room Joker. I don't know why I put the emphasis on room. Interrogation Room Joker. This is the fourth variation of this figure we've seen this year, but at least they changed up the arms to make it more accurate, you know? And then the table and chairs and accessories aren't half bad either. It looks like the inside of the package could be a backdrop, and that really spruces up the shelf presence, you know? But I wish they had shown that outside the box somehow. Can we take that out and put it behind it and make it a display of its own? And why isn't Gordon with a need for a cup of coffee included here? That would have made it perfect. Over at GameStop, they get an exclusive Batman and Batraptor, which is nothing new sculpt-wise. It's all repaint. Batman is the Hush figure with a metallic finish. Maybe the colors are slightly darker, but then the eyes are red for some reason. And then the Bat-Raptor is blue where it was once black. That's all fine and dandy, but man, does it look funky when Batman is actually riding it, driving it, whatever you do with a Bat-Raptor. I mean, they didn't even post pictures of it in that position. The only time you see it is in the package. And there, at first glance, I thought, well, where's Batman? Oh, is he on it? What the hell? He is down, and then they put the package over it. No, you gotta click the video to see the figure smushed into the cockpit like it's Robin in the Batcycle sidecar from the 66 series. Worse, this Batman apparently can't look up. It seems like he's climbing into a sleeping bag, a bat sleeping bag, a sleeping bat bag. You can't tell me that there's not some kind of Batman sleeping bag. At least the cape kind of looks neato draped over the back, right? Right? Oh, but Todd did not stop there. Just this morning, Target's Geek Out started, and we saw new DC Multiverse stuff. Like more of their exclusive Dark Knight Jokerized Build-A-Jokerized Bane wave. Again, we knew this was coming, because A, they said more was coming. That's a dead giveaway. But B, parts of Bane had already been solicited before this, so they have to finish that figure off. These are interesting in a wacky type of way, although Two-Face doesn't do much for me. It's Scarecrow that it looks like Joker disguised as Scarecrow, but then Jokerized. Yeah, ultimately completely passable if it's not your thing. If you're more into the comic type figures, Target Geek Out revealed the newest collector edition figures for DC Multiverse. I thought these were exclusive at first because there was no other info. They were just on Target, but Hawkman and the rest are available on most online retailers. I haven't bought a Hawkman in a long time, but the picture I have of him up here is pretty close to this, so I may have to pony up the $30, which is pushing it up the price ladder a bit, the whole collector edition thing. But here, he's got those hefty top wings. That's some extra plastic for the package. At least that's how I'm justifying it. Because you look at Sinestro and you wonder why this wasn't just a mainline release. Sure, he's got a couple of accessories and the yellow is very bright and it's nice looking, but is it just the stand? Is that what's making it special here? Oh, and the packaging and the name too. That's kind of me hacking on it, but the figure itself I like. That's my version of Sinestro. I don't know if I look at this and see the extra, well, I was gonna say $5, it's $10, right? Because going back to the Dark Knights of Steel Batman, that's still $19.99. But I'm also not privy to behind-the-scenes toy company accounting practices, you know? This may be higher to pay for new sculpts somewhere else. But at the same time, that's another Batman. This is Sinestro. New character, another Batman. But what made me realize these aren't Target exclusive is when I tried to walk in here as Big Bad Toy Store was posting up the collector edition Firestorm. That made me go check the McFarlane site where they had well, I had to search for the listings for the 3 figures, and they had a bunch of toy stores listed at the bottom. This kind of falls between Hawkman and Sinestro for me. Yeah, it seems like a mainline figure, but then there's a few more accessories. Not big old wings, but the paint on those accessories, very nice fire effect. Yeah. McFarlane proportions, but again, if you're into this line, that's what you're getting from all the figures. So it's the style at this point. You take it or you leave it. That's where we are. Whew, finally done with the McFarlane section. God dang it. Target Geek Out also debuted the McFarlane Toys Batman the Animated Series, but these look familiar, right? I'm making this a separate section because it is not DC Multiverse. This is under the DC Direct banner, which makes sense because these are re-releases of the old DC Collectibles animated series figures. There are some tweaks, mostly with the paint job. These are now cel-shaded. And I kind of look at this as a replacement for Target's Batman 66. That was originally their exclusive, but now it's available everywhere. Wild speculation, maybe Target looked at the Batman 66 line and thought, well, we've done all the major players. Is there any way we can refresh that, maybe in a different form factor? Animated series! But again, I don't know the goings-on behind closed doors at toy companies. I can only look at plastic and go, oh, that's pretty. And even though I'm not an animated series type of guy, some of these do catch my eye. I did not mean to rhyme that. Or maybe I did. Batman and Robin are cool, if not a little basic. It's the villains that catch my eye. Mr. Freeze doesn't look like he's super mobile, but he cuts a mean silhouette. It's Scarecrow that seems the most dynamic to me. Just standing on the shelf, he pops a little more. I guess I should say he's my favorite single-carded figure because there is a Build a Condiment King figure. Yes, you heard me correctly. A Build a Condiment King figure. That right there is mighty tempting, just because it's Condiment King. These are also in the $30 price point, and again, that's a mixed bag for me. They are smaller scale, less articulation, so I feel like they should be cheaper. Flip side, it is a Build-A-Wave, and this comes with more accessories than most of McFarlane's other toy lines, which is more DC Directy than McFarlane Toysy. You know what I mean? But then there's also the Bat Cycle, which I didn't even realize was a thing. Look at this sleek chunk of plastic right here. Better yet, look how comfortable Batman looks riding it compared to the Bat Raptor. Alfred! It even has an alternate head for motorcycle safety. That's just cool. Sticking with DC, it is the Medicom MAFEX time of month, and this round starts with Return of Superman Eradicator. This was expected, not just because the prototype was shown at last month's Medicom exhibition, although that is the biggest clue. No, we deduced that a while back when they made the MAFEX Steel, Recovery Suit Superman, and Cyborg Superman. It took me a minute to remember that. Medicom usually sticks with what sells, and apparently Return of Superman and Hush is selling because they keep going back to those character pools. As for Eradicator himself, he was probably always my least favorite of the Superman replacements, but I am liking this design in action figure form. The yellow goggles stick out nicely, and then the black plays with the overall color scheme way better than I remember. Maybe it's those straight lines, just pow! Lean on the accessories with just a couple of hand blasts and an alternate head, but then again, Superman always seems to get the short end in that department. And if you're wondering or you missed it, yes, Superboy is in their plans too. They showed that at that same exhibition. It's just a matter of when, not if. And then Medicom sidesteps over into Marvel with the MAFEX MCU Captain America the Winter Soldier Classic Suit Cap. I did it again, didn't I? Do I always emphasize right before the name? Classic Suit Cap. I'm learning so much about myself today. But I did remember that it was the Winter Soldier version this time. When we first saw this, I called it the First Avenger suit, and I knew better. I've went through those differences before. This is the suit he grabs from the museum in Winter Soldier with the red stripe down the middle and then some slight differences elsewhere. Either way, I've been wanting a good figure of this for a long, long time, and this looks to be it. Although, since it's such a big want, I do have a couple of little gripes. One, the colors are a little bright. It's not bad, but the blue could be toned down just slightly. And then the white parts need that fakey shading that I always assumed the museum added so it would pop more in a display. Because in the movie, it's just there, psh, airbrushed. And then, this is the pickiest of nits, but his gauntlet is wide at the wrist. I know, that is really digging there. It probably had to be done for some wrist movement, but I was sitting there yesterday, lovingly gazing at the pictures, and then the evil part of my brain went, isn't that a pipe from Super Mario Brothers? And then it was stuck. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes. Not a deal breaker though. Even with their flaws, the other MAFEX MCU Captain Americas are my main display caps. And I figure this will be the same. While we're talking Marvel, Kaiyodo revealed their amazing Yamaguchi Agent Venom. Agent Venom. I feel like a broken record at this point when I talk about Revel Tech. You already know what I'm gonna say. Either you love Amazing Yamaguchi or you hate it. It can be frustrating, it can be ugly, but when you hit that pose you're going for, ooh, I don't think any other action figure line gets as dynamic as this one. But even that statement can be taken as either a positive or a negative, depending on who you're talking to. Saying all that, Flash is just kind of standing there letting the tentacles do all the heavy lifting, at least in the foreground. But even that could be considered an improvement because going back to the first Amazing Yamaguchi releases, you couldn't really strike a vanilla pose without it looking Between this and the Spider-Man 2.0, leaps and bounds better than the original releases. And then yeah, the background is more of a crouchier pose, but I guarantee we're going to see more pretty promotional pics in the near future. Because at the moment, the amazing Yamaguchi DC Catwoman is basking in the pre-order spotlight. And yes, I realized I jumped from DC to Marvel back to DC, but that's just how the segues work this week. I have failed you. Never mind that though, look at this Selena! Looks amazing in both neutral stances and action shots. The textures of the suit can be a little overwhelming, jumping from smooth to crisscrossed or quilted or whatever. But then there's little touches of silver to help offset that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, there's a little something to look at all over the figure. For display options, there's two heads. One head has the goggles down, and then the other head has swappable faces. They're smiling, they're serious, and the third Kaiyodo lists as coquettish, which means flirtatious in a teasing, lighthearted manner. See? The weekly can be educational too. Coquettish. The faceplates also have moving eyes, which is great in concept, but rarely in execution, at least from my point of view, because I can never get them to match. I'll get one eye in position and then the other will be off to the somewhere, just looking all over. Also includes several sets of hands, some whip options, and ill-gotten treasures to spruce up the display. If that's not enough for you, if you order directly from Kaiyodo, you'll get a extra bonus head with the hair all free from the costume, and what the site describes as a dignified expression. Plus side, no moving eyes on this one. So if I was in for this figure, I would probably grab this one. But then she's not in full costume. I don't know, I'm still on the fence here. This week, NECA solicited a new Puppet Master box set, and look, Cowboy Puppet! It has been a long time since I've seen these movies. So long that I passed on the first sets. But you work towards completing a team, a group, and I get a little more interested. Six Shooter is right up my alley, but Jester wasn't really ever high on my list. In fact, all three box sets are kind of 50-50 for me. I wanted Tunneler, but not Pinhead, and then, come on, Blade is the main man. But then Torch didn't do much for me. But now, as the group fills out, you got yourself a display. Then again, every time I bring up buying Puppet Master figures, my wife gives me the side eye. Just because I used to hide that old full moon, semi-life-size Blade various places around the house. Suddenly I'm not allowed to buy any more Puppet Master figures. Does that seem fair to you? Probably seems fair, huh? And economical, I guess. She's saving me money. Why am I gropping? But as always, that's just my situation. That's all I can speak on. Here you go. Finally, let's wrap it up with a little Star Wars Black Series, because I feel like it's been a little bit since I got to talk about bread and butter. With Ahsoka debuting on Disney Plus this week, Hasbro has announced that there will be a fan stream next Tuesday. But we may already have a sneak peek at what they're going to reveal then, thanks to some eBay auctions. So if you haven't seen the first two episodes and want to remain spoiler-free, or want to go into the fan stream minty fresh, get on out of here. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Honestly, it's nothing earth-shattering or surprising, but I may slip up and give away some plot points or some scenes or something, so better safe than sorry. Still here? Okay. Here is the assortment that popped up on eBay this week. Out of the six, we had already seen Ahsoka and Sabine at San Diego Comic-Con, so nothing new there. On top of that, Ahsoka is a repack. So that's really nothing new. There may be some tweaks to the paint or photoreal or something. It does look a little crisper, but that's hard to compare between pictures and what we have in hand. But Sabine looks awesome. I'm definitely getting her. After watching the premiere, I hope we also get her Lothal look before she re-armors up with the long hair. That was a good look too. Chopper also isn't too surprising, although I can't even remember. Did they announce him at San Diego? Was he in the display case? Something? Either way. Here's Chopper again. Complete reissue of the first figure in new packaging to match the rest of the Rebels reissues. I am happy about getting Morgan Elsbeth this early though, especially since they've upped her interesting factor. In Mando, she was just kind of a level boss. Now, she's a witch of Dathomir. She got some magic going on. She got better holograms than the rest of the universe. No accessories is kind of a bummer though. I know Hasbro has to start way in advance producing the figures in order to get them out anywhere around the premiere, which doesn't always happen. So maybe at the time they didn't know what to throw in there, but now I'd like to see the the star map Pokeball, or maybe some green flames. HK-87 Assassin Droid is a lot of reuse, just molded in red. But again, after seeing the episodes, I expect to see this body a few more times. I ain't complaining though, it's a cool looking droid. But then there's Ezra, and we are early in the season, so I hate to speculate anything. But at this moment, I'm secure in saying that this is his look from the hologram Puck in Sabine's lair. I mean, that's kind of a fact, right? He was wearing the orange shirt, everything else. But if Ezra and Thrawn were thrown through time as well as space, could this be how he looks if he does appear later in the season? Again, I know that's a lot of, ooh, what if we get this Ezra and then he shows up in a different look later, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that's Star Wars marketing, right? Got to change the looks in order to sell more toys later. And no, I don't go looking for spoilers either. So maybe everybody already knows that they're waiting for second season. Thrawn appears this season, and then right as the psh, and oh, there's a silhouette in the dark. Season 2. Overall, a good starter set for the Ahsoka series, because we already know Hera is coming a little later, and then there's whispers of Hu Yang too, just floating around on the internet. You gotta think the bad guys are on their way at some point, right? Get some orange lightsabers into the display. Like I said, Ahsoka and Sabine have already been solicited, and they are listed for November, but if we're seeing this on eBay now, could we see the whole wave sooner than that? You can't tell with Hasbro these days. Because that's all I have as of this exact moment. But the last I looked, Hasbro is teasing some Marvel Legends stuff. They're showing off some Avengers pictures. So maybe they'll have something new before the end of today, which is Friday. Please remember that, because, hey, you missed this. No, that's not how time works, damn it. This is me from the past, talking about past stuff, because I can't talk about future stuff that I don't even know about. That's not what this channel is about. I'm not prognosticating. I'm just talking about the pictures that are in front of me. And that sounds gripey. I'm not trying to yank chains or anything. I'm actually in a good mood, feeling much better than I was last week, which is a good thing, because as you get older, you start thinking, well, that hurts. What else is wrong? Oh no. So gotta enjoy it while you got it. That's where I'm at, especially today. Dang it.